Welcome to the Daily Decant, your 5-minute briefing on the world of wine. Each episode delivers practical insights to help you choose, order, and talk about wine with more confidence in everyday social settings. Let's get into today's decant. It's Friday, we've been doing wine and food pairing week, and today we're talking wine and cheese. Let's talk about something that will feel counterintuitive. A big tannic red with a sharp aged cheese is not a great pairing. It's a common one, and it's the kind of pairing that looks impressive on paper and disappoints in the glass, and here's why. The protein and fat in the cheese bind with the tannins in wine in a way that emphasizes the roughness and bitterness of the tannins rather than softening them. A mouthful of aged cheddar followed by a sip of young Cabernet is, for most palates, an experience of harshness and clash rather than complementary. The conventional wisdom is wrong here, and understanding why leads you to the pairings that actually work. The regional principle applies more powerfully to cheese than almost anything else. Cheese and wine developed together in specific places over centuries, and the local wine was calibrated to work with the local cheese, whether anyone planned it that way or not. This means that before you think about any specific matching role, your most reliable starting point is find wine from the same region as the cheese. We talked about this principle the other day. French cheese with French wine, Italian cheese with Italian wine, Spanish cheese, Spanish wine, you guessed it. The regional affinity is not accidental. It reflects centuries of co-evolution in which the flavors and textures of the local cheese and the local wine were adjusted through culture and tradition to work together. So start with regional matching and you'll rarely go badly wrong. Now, the specific pairings that work and why. Fresh, mild cheeses such as Chèvre, fresh goat cheese with Sancerre, or dry Loire Sauvignon Blanc is one of the great classic pairings in French cuisine. The Loire Valley produces both the wine and the cheese, and they were made for each other. The sharp, citrusy Sauvignon Blanc cuts through the creamy fat of the fresh goat cheese while complementing its characteristic tangy herbal character. Burrata and rich, fresh cheese like fresh mozzarella pair beautifully with a light Italian white or dry rosé. The key for fresh, mild cheeses is look for light, high-acid whites, nothing too heavy or tannic. Next, we'll talk soft, ripened cheese such as Brie, Camembert, soft Epoisses. These are fatty, funky, intensely flavored cheeses that need something with enough body and aromatic presence to match them. Champagne with Brie is a classic for good reason, and the bubbles and acidity cut through the fat. The toasty complexity of a serious champagne matches the mushroomy, earthy notes of the rind. A full-bodied white Burgundy with Brie is equally good. For washed rind cheeses like Epoisses, Alsatian Gewürztraminer with its spice and aromatic exuberance is one of the great regional pairings of French cuisine. Avoid light, delicate wines with these cheeses. The cheese will overwhelm them. Aged hard cheeses such as Parmigiano Reggiano, aged Pecorino, aged cheddar, aged Manchego. These are the cheeses most often paired with tannic reds, and the tannic red pairing is often the wrong call. What aged hard cheese actually pairs beautifully with is wine that has some sweetness or oxidative character. Think Amontillado or Oloroso sherry with aged Manchego is one of Spain's greatest regional pairings. Aged port with an aged cheddar is a classic British combination. Parmigiano Reggiano with a mature, softened red wine, one where the tannins have had years to mellow, works beautifully, and while young tannic Cabernet does not. Blue cheese such as Gorgonzola, Stilton, the most challenging cheese category for pairing, and the one where the sweet wine is almost always the answer. Sweet, high-acid wine with blue cheese is a pairing that has been celebrated for centuries. Sauternes with Roquefort, late harvesting Riesling with Gorgonzola, port with Stilton. The sweetness of the wine provides contrast to the intense saltiness and pungency of the blue cheese, while the high acidity keeps the combination from being cloying. This is one of those pairings that sounds counterintuitive, sweet wine with cheese, until you try it, after which you understand completely why it's been a classic for so long. The broader lesson from the cheese episode, which is the most consistently surprising episode I cover in any live wine education content, is this. Our default associations about what belongs together in wine and food are often built more on aesthetics and convention rather than actual flavor chemistry. Red wine looks beautiful next to a cheese board. A bottle of vintage Sauternes looks out of place at a casual gathering, but the Sauternes with blue cheese will almost always outperform the red wine with cheese in the glass because the pairing is built on actual flavor interaction rather than visual convention. Challenge your defaults. The surprises are usually where the best pairings live, and tomorrow we'll talk about wine for every occasion. That's today's Daily Decant. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends so you can continue building your wine knowledge in just a few minutes a day. See you tomorrow for the next Decant.